wonderful women of influence out there. We are recognizing our professional women and women in so many different spaces. Happy Women's History Month.
Thank you.
Women around the world, not just national. So I immigrated from Guyana in 1977. And many people's landing spot, Brooklyn, New York. Immigrated, and it was not my idea. Of course, I was young. I was 8 years of age. So
Wow.
at that age, you don't really make a decision to immigrate. You just follow whatever your parents have for you, right? So my parents brought me here to the United States. And like with anyone who comes to the United States, it's to find a new path in life, right? I don't like to use the terms to find a better life. Because who is to say that you couldn't find a better life back in your birth country, right?
That's good.
So to find a new pathway forward, to embark on new life experiences, right, outside of Guyana. And came to Brooklyn, East New York, where I grew up. And, in East New York, I tell people, and Sonia Sotomayor, the first Latina to serve on the U.S. Supreme Court, said it best. Her upbringing and her surroundings shaped her as a person. Yes. Right? And she grew up in Manhattan, upper Manhattan in New York. I grew up in Brooklyn, New York. She is a Puerto Rican, right? I am a Guyanese, so we know what it's like being immigrants, coming up in a community that we're in which we're treading this new path, getting these new experiences of life. Yes. And growing up in East New York, Brooklyn, it really created some experiences for me because it wasn't in a community where we had opulence, right? I grew up in the inner city. I grew up, we call the hood. I grew up in the projects, East New York, Brooklyn, and in Flatbush, Crown Heights, where I last stayed before I relocated to Georgia. So I grew up in a predominantly Caribbean, Hispanic, Haitian, Creole. So everybody spoke Spanish and French, and we were from all different parts of the Caribbean, right? Yes. So very multicultural. And when I was growing up, I had a lot of experiences because you learned to make do with what you have. You learn to work hard. You learn to be industrious. You learn to be creative. Right. And I had very strict family. I've come from a very strict background, an upbringing in discipline and behavior and what was expectations of you as a young person growing up in a Caribbean, South American household. So, I grew up in East New York. I lived in the Flatbush area. After high school, I'm an alumnus of Erasmus Hall High School.
Wow.
And the Academy for the Performing Arts, where I majored in theater. So on Saturdays I did battle on the gridiron. I played football, championship football. Go Dutchman, Erasmus Hall, and I was a theater major. So I studied theater for 3 years, and I was a budding thespian, but. Winning Best Actor in my senior year, studying Shakespeare and everything. I killed it in my senior year.
I can see that.
Right.
I can see that. Now it explains why. I've admired you from a distance for many, many years. I've seen you.
Thank you.
And I kept wondering because I pondered a lot about you. I kept saying, there's something about him. Mm-hmm. And I saw the artsiness in you without knowing. So you're just now telling me that. I wasn't aware of that. I could tell.
Yes,
so
ma'am.
now that explains it.
Yes, ma'am.
I mean, wow. So where the culture is concerned, I've seen the spices. I've seen you, believe it or not, I've seen you involved in certain communities that I am a part of. And I'm going, wow, I didn't know that. So you keep surprising me. You keep
Yeah.
surprising me because I keep saying, Austin, I didn't expect it. I went to this event and I'm like, he's there. And then I look around and I'm like, are you kidding me? We think alike.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that we had so much. I didn't realize it was not only the name, Thompson, but we have a lot in common because what you're talking about culturally, I mean, the Shakespearean, the thespian, I mean, I'm like, I knew you were that person. So he just confirmed it, guys.
Oh,
He
yeah.
just confirmed it. I love it. I love it. And, you know, honestly, I mean, you've mentored students, you know, from, I mean, there's the likes of Discovery High.
Yes.
I mean, you know, you're an engineer by you know,
profession.
by profession, really.
Yes, ma'am.
But you've covered the whole gamut.
Yes, ma'am.
There's so many things that you have done, and these are the things that our students are looking for.
Yes, ma'am.
Our young people are looking for. Young men are out there looking to you. For example, they're not looking for perfection. They're looking for people like you who have been there and done it. So when we say, you know, you were raised in the hood, that was family.
I'm not ashamed of it either.
Absolutely not.
Absolutely not.
Absolutely not. I spent many years in the South Bronx.
Yes.
So I am not ashamed of it either. It's not where you're coming from, it's where you're heading to. I think
Yes,
one of
ma'am.
those famous musicians coined it. And so what you have done, you've laid out pathways for these youngsters coming up. They're looking at you and they're going, if he did it, certainly I can do it.
Yes, ma'am.
So you've set the bar really high for these youngsters, but you know what? The fact that you're reaching back and mentoring and helping them and pushing them forward, laying out that place for them to reach those levels. I just want to say my hat to you.
Thank you so much.
My hat to you.
Thank you so
thank
much.
you. And so, where that is concerned, what do you see as far as our people? I mean, our youth. I mean, development, because with what's going on right now in our country, I mean,
Yeah.
how do you see us forging forward? Because I mean, it's more community than anything else, I would say. What's your takeaway as far as getting these students, these young people out there and getting them involved?
I do a lot of speaking to our young people, high school,
Yes.
college, you know. And one thing that we should not be mistaken, because we were all 18 to 25 at one point of our lives, right? One thing we should not be mistaken is to say our young people they just don't know what they're doing. They're young. They, you know, what do they know? Let me tell you something.
They're
Our young
lost.
people
They're not.
they're lost, you know. Our young people are very passionate. We have to think back to when we were 18 to 25. We were passionate. Not that we have ceased being passionate, but we had a sense of passion and vision and vigor and drive back when we were 18. We wanted to conquer the world.
We did.
We just didn't have access to Instagram and Facebook and TikTok back in those days, right? And smartphones. Young people today are more globally connected than we were when we were their age. So they're building influences and relationships with counterparts across the globe.
Yes.
They're very imaginative. They're very creative.
Yes.
They're still passionate, right? And we have to really look at our young people, because I turn 56 next month. Wow. Many of my friends, folks I keep in my circles, are below the age of 35, right? Because it comes from the mentoring and the youth development that I do. I have young people across the globe, literally, you know, in the Caribbean and West Africa, you know, in Uganda. And, you know, I learn a lot from them.
Yes.
And I try to share experiences, because I wasn't born with a silver spoon in my mouth, right? Where I grew up, again, I didn't grow up with opulence, right? I didn't grow up in a highly economically, you know, infused
Privileged,
community,
yeah.
privileged community or anything. My high school was in the hood. My junior high school was in the hood. But I tell you this, Miss Sharon, and the one thing I tell young people,
Yes.
just listen to the nuggets that people drop in your ear.
Yes.
I was part of an upward bound program at Brooklyn College after school. And I always remember my teachers, the instructors there telling me, you know, and I wasn't the most highly academically performing individual as well. But
that's fine.
I had drive. I had ambition. There were things that my mind was churning, right? Yes. I was a stud in high school.
Wow.
I played football. I ran track. I studied theater. So, you know, I got out of high school with a hum and a prayer, right? But
look at you.
I turned it around.
You did.
And I turned it around because amongst some of the negative messages that people dropped, I always had people who were behind me. And they said, Austin, you know what? You're going to be something.
Yes.
You're going to be something. We don't know what it is, but you're going to be something. You're going to do something in your life that's going to impact the lives of individuals positively. I never knew what it was because when I was coming out of high school, literally I registered at Medgar Evers College. I was a student there at Medgar Evers College. I started out at Borough of Manhattan Community College and then transferred to Medgar Evers. I was a political science and economics major. I love politics from young and economics, but I just never parlayed that interest into anything political until like a few years ago. But you know, I started out and I was just sort of inconsistent. You know, I was inconsistent, but you know, I had good jobs because I was working at Chase Manhattan Bank, right? And I always aligned myself with people older than me, right? Who were like 10, 15 years older than me. And I went from Chase Manhattan Bank to Stoner Webster Engineering. And then I left New York in 92 and I moved here.